Hello everyone, welcome back to Garden Fever. I got another great herb for you. I'm coming to you from northern Utah, Zone 6. And for those of you who don't know what this plant before you is, it's the mountain yarrow. This particular one is a white mountain yarrow. But I'm going to do a video on yarrow in general because there's actually over 1,000 different varieties of yarrow. This is a very popular plant. It's all around the world. A lot of people use it. It's got a lot of medicinal uses. Some people grow it just for their flowers. It's great for rock gardens and edging. Obviously, I got it on the edge of my thing here. But I wanted to do a video on this because this is a great medicinal herb, and there's a long history of uses. And right now in Utah, we're just coming into spring and it's still pretty cold, so I got a lot of growth out of my herbs, but I don't have a whole lot of growth in my vegetables yet. So if you haven't noticed, I've been doing a lot of herbs, and as we move into spring and summer, we'll start getting into the other vegetables. But for now, it's herb time. So let me give you a little bit of information about this plant because it's real easy to grow. It's popular in teas. So when you grow it, that tends to be the most popular way people eat this. But it's from the aster family, and it's Milfoil is its name, or yarrow. There's actually quite a few names, but and I'm not going to say the actual official name because I always mispronounce these, so I'm just going to put it in the editing process. But it's believed to be named after Achilles from Troy, and part of the story of Troy talks about them using this to help their wounds after battle. So that's a bit of a myth. I don't know if that's 100% true, but then again, Troy was believed to not be real, and then we found the city, so maybe there is some truth to it. So I thought I'd mention that. But it is a perennial herb, and it is perennial in zones 3 to 8. So this is more of a cool weather herb. When you start getting into the hotter weather, it won't do as well. So for those of you down south, this can be a little bit of a harder herb to grow. You might want to grow it in a little bit of shade or with some shade cloth. It is a full sun herb and does better in full sun. So you may struggle in the hotter weather. I think a good shade cloth that lets in some light but not lets the full intensity heat, you might be able to grow it in warmer zones. But anyway, if you're going to plant this just straight into the ground, you're going to want to plant it 12 to 24 inches apart because it will get pretty big. This is pretty young. It's not even gone to flower yet. They'll flower between June and September. And they have beautiful flowers. I don't have an example for you, but I'll try and find some fair use pictures so you can at least get a glimpse of it. But if you're going to grow it from seed, it's not popularly done that way. It's usually grown through splitting in a plant that's already established. You split it and then transplant it, and it's actually good to do that too because it airs it out. It can be really quite thick and dense in the center. So that's generally how it's done. But if you decide to do it with seeds, you want to germinate it at least a few weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks before the last frost. And it'll take about 14 to 21 days to germinate. One thing that's cool about this plant, and one reason why I'm doing it here in northern Utah, because we suffer from clay soil up here. For those of you who know the history of Utah, it's a prehistoric lake bed, so we have intense clay soil here. It's very difficult to loosen up our soil here. But yarrow is one of those plants that can grow very, very well in clay soils. So I like this herb for that reason, because once it's established, when you got the sprouts and you're first transplanting it, it does take some care. But once it's established, it's very drought tolerant. You can neglect it. It doesn't need fertilizer. Obviously, if you do fertilize it, it will do better. But keep in mind, if they grow too tall, the flowers will kind of droop over too. So you want to kind of bush it out. So you want to deadhead it. This will encourage more blooms. So for those of you who are doing it for the aesthetics and the beauty, after the flowers bloom, you do want to deadhead it, cut it and trim it down, kind of bush it out, and it'll encourage more growth. So as far as the medicinal ends, it helps with colds, and it also helps with bleeding on minor wounds. It can help with swollen or cramping muscles and reduce fever. It is also an astringent, so you can use it on your skin. It'll help your skin. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, it's susceptible to mildew and powder problems. However, it's pretty tough plant, so it will grow in varieties of soils. You can neglect it, even though that is something it is susceptible to. It's pretty rare. I don't think you would need to be too concerned about it. And if you do get some of that, all you got to do is trim off the leaves and get rid of it, and it should be fine. So, wanted to kind of break off some of this because it's got a really soft fern-like thing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead, and my battery's dying, so I'm going to cut the video here. But like, subscribe, share, comment, and I'll put more information in the description and through the editing process. And thank you for watching Garden Fever.